Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. He called the office and he wanted to know, I believe he talked to Kim, and he wanted to know the fact that he didn't speak very good English, if that would affect him learning. And I said, no, not that much. And I recommended that he talk to somebody that was German, who had been to the seminar many times, who spoke perfect English. And so they went and met in Passau, Germany, and they skied. Now, the guy that he went to meet was Bavarian Bob, as he's affectionately called, Robert Mayer, who is an okay skier, but Marcus Bauer is a world-class skier. So I didn't really think about that, you know. And so apparently when they're going down the slopes, wherever they skied, he'd be down there, you know, picking his teeth and having a coffee and scratching his ass, waiting for the other guy to get down. Because as I knew, I've been seriously hurt on the ski slopes many, many years before that. Just as you, the straightest line between A and your success is a straight line, but this program is not a straight line, okay? But skiing, the fastest route is a straight route. But anyway, and so he told Marcus that his English was good enough. And at that time, Marcus probably had command of English about 40%. 40%. Marcus Bauer's been to the seminar 7 times. He's been to the hardcore once. But the guy that was telling him that had been to the seminar 12 times in a row. And even though he speaks today, and he spoke then, in 2010, better English than anybody in this room. Now, subsequent to that, we've got data, as I alluded to last night, that you only assimilate the brightest guy in the room, which isn't that bright, you know, assimilates about 40% of what you're going to hear this week. Assimilates and only partially retains. The thickest one in the room, we don't know. It's close to 0, though. Now, how's that possible? How fucking stupid can you be? Pretty fucking stupid, though. 0. So on the good news is 1 or 2 or 3 of you possibly are going to retain about 40%. To me, it hardly seems worthwhile paying to go to something I'm only going to understand 40%. And I'm at the bright end. But Marcus went to 7 seminars and 1 hardcore. And Bavarian Bob went to 12 seminars. He used to write formulas. He's a rocket scientist. Part of his education in Germany, he went to the Max Planck Institute for Geniuses. Okay, that's a big fucking deal in Germany. We've only had 1 Max Planck guy in 30 years, and it was him. So he is truly a rocket fucking scientist. And he came 12 before the shoe dropped. And he went to the hardcore. We invented hardcore about this time, so he went to the first hardcore. And there were 7 other Germans in the class. And it sounded, I guess, something like Hitler's war room towards the end of the war before he shot himself. And these other Germans explained to him, because he had written formulas why it's not possible. And it all, not all, but a great deal of it stemmed around no equity. And with all his education from the Max Planck Institute, he says you got to have equity. Somebody's got to put up fucking money. Somebody's got to put skin in the game. That is conventional wisdom. It has been since maybe caveman. But it's not true. We have data that the people that take the most notes do the best. The people that ask the least amount of questions do the best. I already commented last night, I'm not going to answer stupid questions. And depending on whether I have a hair up my ass or not, I'll humiliate you. That's in the 2nd page of my website. You fucking moron, retard. Now, probably nobody in this room has been called retarded, like I was going through school. So I know that just because they say you're a retard doesn't mean you are a retard. And it's nothing against the people that are disabled or special needs, none of that, okay? But I said last night, those who get laser beam focused first, stay laser beam focused longest, win most. Those are simple words. But they're powerful because they're absolute 100%. We have more books for you to take notes in, if you fill the one that you have up. And the last day, I normally say this, but I'm going to say it now, what the high performance super successes do is they take their notes when they go home, and they, first of all, if you're not going to be pitching this in English, translate it to your native language, every single word. And that takes some time. Now, for some of you that aren't going to take any notes, it doesn't take any time. But for those of you that take copious notes, it's going to take you some time. And go back and go through the various case studies and put them down in your primary language or the language that you're going to sell in. And then we give you some of the other things that the high-performance people do, like, I won't say all of them, but almost all of them now have standing desks. I should have got a piece of these companies that make these fucking standing desks. Just as many of them become successful by Rollses and Ferraris. For obvious reasons. Although my wife has surpassed Ferraris now. They're old. They're like a small beer in the UK. It's no big deal for her now. So she's moved on to other cars. Because you don't do what I tell you, you do what you've seen me do, and now you're going to have 12 or 15 or 20, depending on how many webinars I use, which depends on how well I think you assimilate the information as I give it to you. You'll have others, and undoubtedly you'll Google them, and I'm telling you not to contact them, but you will contact them, and a few of them are give you sparing amounts of their time, but most of them just tell you to fuck off. About the third or fourth day of the seminar, I go through a little ditty, so to speak. I'm on board, pull up the gangplank. Unfortunately, most of my mentees consider you competition. They don't know how fucking thick you are, but so they're not going to help you. Play it forward and all that shit is only in the movies. It's not in real life at this level. You can try to contact Elon Musk all day long, and you're not going to get through. Although in the 90s, we got through to Warren Buffett from this seminar. We got through to Bill Gates. Bill Gates' email address used to be bgates@Microsoft. Now, why would he do that? It has now changed. Warren's address used to be something similar. Because they don't know the lengths some of you will do, the desperation some of you have. People come here because they're inspired or they're desperate. A couple of you think you're inspired, but you're not. You're desperate because of the analogy that I went through last night about the last bar in town, blah, 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 the world's flat, et cetera, et cetera. But most of your lives, and it's very obvious from the way you answer your questionnaires, and there's a method to my madness in those questionnaires, and I alluded to it last night. If your parents never did shit, and you never did shit, and your kids never did shit, and your grandparents never did shit, it's not likely you're ever going to do shit. That's just it. We're a product of our social and economic milieus. We're a product of our we either come from the gutter or we don't. Although one of my mentees just reminded me, he was reminded in one of the things that he has on his screensaver, I think it is, it's that you're only one step from the gutter, from the limousine to the gutter. Because I alluded to this yesterday evening as well, that it's hard to make a bunch of money, but it's harder to keep it. And right now, most of you are just worried about making it to begin with. And you'll worry about keeping it later, you think, either maybe on a subconscious level. We're going to talk about the founder. We're going to talk about the guy that founded McDonald's a little later. But the sum of the whole movie, to me, when I first saw it, was he had a handshake deal with the McDonald brothers. How'd that work out? It didn't. Or as they say up in this part of the world, it didn't, because they're illiterate up here. They can't speak English. We have a Scot in here, don't we? Yeah? No? Nobody from Scotland? Well, you're not brave enough to say so anyway. They're illiterate up here. Anyway, I didn't, and the SNP party's fallen to shit. The communications secretary just resigned. A couple others just resigned because it's like the clans up here from Braveheart, except with no balls. Scotland is Braveheart with no balls. That's what it is. So that movie, and I read a couple of your homeworks. What the takeaway for him was he cheated on his wife. He got him. I mean, all the things I tell you are going to happen. 60% of you are going to have different partners a year from now. 60%. We stopped counting at 60. We stopped counting at 50 about 15 years ago, and then I forget, one of the geniuses decided, it would probably be better information if we had more data. And about a year and a half ago, Sally and I were in Washington, D.C., and my phone stopped working. I've had the same phone number on my cell phone, U.S. cell phone, for 30 plus years. From the old days when they had the big block phones to the various, and when we walked into the AT&T store there, a guy came, and I told Sally, we will not leave here without a new phone and all kinds of other shit. So I just sat over in the corner, had a cup of coffee, and Sally went through all the crap that you do to get a new phone. And my phone was still, I'm going to say 2G. But anyway, it didn't work anymore. Many years ago, I got 3 cell phones, a European toll-free number, a American toll-free number, and an Asian toll-free number, so my kids could call me. So it wouldn't cost them any money. I've had those phones. Well, the oldest is 41. The next oldest is about to turn, or is 39, and our daughter is 36. Not one phone call have I received on those 3 phones in 30 years. Not one. I still keep them, mainly so I can tell the story. Because my children have to make an appointment to talk to me. I think I mentioned that last night. And they have to call Kim, which is nicknamed Corona Kim. Everybody's got a nickname in here. From Lardass, that works on this estate, to Bag of Bones, to Ugly, to Cutie Pie. You can't do that anymore. You can't talk to people that way, in that irreverent manner. I do and have all my life. And I'm not going to change at 77. Not going to happen. So anyway, the guy, the salesman at the AT&T store in Washington, D.C., we came away with, and you get this much free data. And I could hear Sally was about where that curtain is. My husband doesn't know what data is. My husband's not interested in data. He just wants the same number with a current phone that works. Well, how many calls does he get? I don't think he gets any. So how's data going to help him? Now, I can't connect those dots. I really can't, because I don't know what data is, okay? But if I don't get any calls and I don't make any calls, do I need any data? Somebody say yes or no. Thank you. So a lot of things that desperation and inspiration. While you believe that you're inspired to be here, we have had 3 or 4 inspired people in 30 years. 3 or 4. Arguably, really 2 for sure, I'm positive of. And the other 1 to 2, which would equate to the 3rd and the 4th, maybe. Of all the people I've trained, how's that possible? Because you don't have to be inspired to do this. You don't have to be. What you have to be, absolutely, is an automaton that follows the process, the procedures, and the systems without wavering. The ones that are laser beam focused first, the stay laser beam focused longest, win most. That's it. There's no other. I alluded to electrical engineer last night, and the fact is there's only one switch, there's only one thing in this deal. There's not 2. And the only thing that's of importance is a motivated seller. And I alluded again, and we're going to spend a lot of time on ascertaining the difference between a suspect and a prospect. A suspect will take your calls, answer your emails, may even, meet you for a coffee, but have no intention of buying shit from you or selling shit to you. Whereas a prospect is a person that will, because we're buying from him, but buying your line of shit, buying your bullshit. And the ones that learn the scripts the best, so you're not sounding like you're memorized and you're just reading from a script, and you can add a word or 2 or a pause or 2, but the scripts are not perfect English. How many in this room know what a split infinitive is? You going to raise your hand? You think? Okay. Now that's close. Okay. How many know what a dangling participle is? You're ignorant. Oh, you think you know. Go ahead, Mike.
Maybe like walking in the park?
No. Okay. So you're as ignorant as all the others, but you don't have to know. I happen to know. They stopped constructing sentences in school unless you went to a proper school. And I think only one of you went to a proper, before you went to university, if you went to university, only I think one of you went to a proper school. But they stopped diagramming sentences is the right word, not 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Education, this is only for the United States. Education in America peaked in 1963. Every year since 1963, notwithstanding all the charts that they show you, the amount of education that a student left with the equivalent of leaving a high school when they're 17, 18 years old, which would be like A levels here, peaked in 1963. And it's been going down ever since. A high school degree in America from 1963 is equal to a 2-year college degree now. That's how much more they shove down your throat. I coincidentally graduated from high school in 1963. A few weeks ago, Sally and I went to the high school that I graduated from, and I tried to burn down and met with the principal, the headmaster, whatever you call it, the headmistress, the gal. And it is now a charter school for smart people, which I sat across from her closer than this, and I said, I can't believe this. This was a school for retards when I went here. And I graduated with a 2.55 average out of 4. I had slightly more B's than C's, and a couple A's to make up for the F's. You can't really make up for an F, but anyway. And when I get my books, and the school is under construction right now. I just got a grant of $180 million. It's taken 20, 25 years to get to rebuild the school and make it a charter school. They used to have lockers about this high, and you had a combination, and you open the locker, and you put your books there and your shit, and now your knapsacks. And when I got my books the first day of class, or the first 2 days of class, I put my books in there, and then when the semester was over in June, or the year was over in June, I'd go back and pick up the books and turn them in. And there used to be a dust line on my locker because I never moved the books. I never cracked the book. You know how you can crack a spine and see when it... Never. And I'm sharing this story with the principal. And she said, you can't get through school like that anymore. And I said, because you don't teach anything. We have somebody in here with 6 degrees. And I'll ridicule him in person later on in the week. And what has it got him? We have people in this room with no degrees. So we've got 6 degrees and no degrees. And there's really no differentiation. What does that say? It says that the educational system is bust and has been bust a long time. And that's why, although I haven't given this year a talk at a university, I gave one last year about mid-year, the kids know the system's bust. When I spoke at the University of Pennsylvania Wharton School 3 years ago, other than me knowing more about the university than they did, other than Benjamin Franklin, founded it in 1743, and he died, an old pervert. But I have nothing against being a pervert, by the way. But anyway, the pedophile, yes; pervert, no. And I told him that I had. Most people know Trump went there. Most people know Elon Musk went there, amongst other luminaries. But my favorite alumni is Doc Holliday, the gunfighter murderer, dentist that went there, that was Wyatt Earp's best friend. And hardly anybody knew that. Doc Holliday, they don't brag about it. Pete Conrad, picture of the astronaut up there. Where is Petey? Oh, anyway. Pete Conrad, who I work with, he's also a graduate of Penn. But all that doesn't mean anything, because what they don't teach you in school, any schools, either here or any place in the world, is how to pull the trigger, or how to take action, or how to just fucking do it. Because the educational system for many, many years, arguably since World War II, is based on they rather be liked than effective. And a lot of the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies or FTSE 100 companies, or the companies that the indices are based on, may not have been there if they hadn't been interested in being liked than being effective. At some level, everybody in this room wants to be liked. Now, I'm not going to go into the want to be loved. Unfortunately, many of you in this room rather want to be loved. It's not just like. Liking isn't fulfill your insecurity. When I started coaching 30 years ago, I grossly underestimated several things, but the biggest thing I underestimated, and I've said this countless times on YouTube, is the lack of self-esteem that permeates the world. I didn't understand that. I really didn't. Because my dad and his mates, if you will, were all high self-esteem guys. I mean, I want comments, questions about the movie. Yes, sir. Use the mic, please.
Yeah, well, Ray, he was pretty forceful. He assumed the clothes when he pretty much presented the handshake deal. Before the other side even thought about the answer, his hand was already out.
Well, I mean, he's a salesman. Those of you that have some sales experience have a slight edge. I told you about the car salesman last night, who's, kicking it out of the park now. Those of you that have sold door to door have an advantage. I'm not sure anybody has sold door to door in this group. those of you that have built up calluses vis-a-vis rejection have a slight edge. But other than that, there are no tips to the program. What else about McDonald's and the founder? Yes, sir. It's on.
He had a strong will to succeed. He was a by any means necessary kind of guy. They were either going to get down or he was going to make them lay down.
And he wasn't born with that. Years of rejection. Now, I don't know about selling malt machines, but I've sold door to door, etc. Your will to put food in your mouth has to be stronger than not being rejected. I know what that feels like. What else about in the back? Yes, sir.
From the point of view of the McDonald brothers, you shouldn't reveal your secrets. So they revealed their process to Ray Kroc, to their detriment.
Now that's very, that's very Asian answer. You could also add that never tell the truth, which would also fall into an Asian answer. And we're gonna talk about the 7 or 8 ethnicities that you should not do business with to begin with. And there's a reason why you shouldn't. Not because they're smarter. It has nothing to do with that. But for example, I fought the Chinese government about 20 plus years ago in a lawsuit. And they brought 41 witnesses from China to the California Superior Court as all eyewitnesses that heard me say such and such. Not one of them I'd ever met, not one of them that I was in Los Angeles, but they about 41. I brought one witness, and it was the famous author at that time of a book called Round-Faced Black Heart, which was a bestseller. For a Chinese lawyer, a Chinese friend, Chinese accountant, it's an honor to lie for their client. It's considered an honor and a privilege to lie for them. It's not dissimilar in other ethnicities, but there it's like you got the 10 Commandments. That's like the 3rd commandment. And the judge, like in the movies, he said, the counsel approached the bench. And they had umpteen lawyers, and I had one. And they said that it's Friday afternoon, it's 3:15, I'm going to recess the court, but if you don't settle with Mr. Peña over the weekend, I'm going to rule from the bench, which they can do. We don't need any fucking trial. I know what rule from the bench. And so we settled. And you don't know that, and you're too stupid. And even though I've just told you this. And when we talk about in depth about how you get the board and who you get, et cetera, and the most important person is the chairman, at least one of you is going to come back. I don't answer questions. So you're going to write me and I'm not going to answer you, but I'm going to tell you the answer now. Or you'll call Kim crying. Hair professor Dr. So-and-so was a unindicted co-conspirator for whatever. Unindicted means he didn't get in trouble. Co-conspirator said that they thought he should go to jail. And is he okay to be my chairman? The answer is no. But he's the only one that will talk to you. So you went desperately for the answer to be yes. But it's no. First of all, why would anybody talk to you? You're lowlifes. Everybody in this room. But they will because the system works. The dream team concept works. And we were doing dream teams before O.J. Simpson got off for murder with his dream team of lawyers, which I knew those guys too, by the way. Kardashian was who breeded all the Kardashian kids that have gotten rich. was one of the lawyers for. Okay, YouTube, go fuck yourself.